Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Today's episode is brought to you by Real Estate Radio Experts. You know, guys, you want more deals. You want more listings. The best way to do it by far is radio. Every single top producer we've had on this show has a radio initiative. What's holding you back? It's not as expensive as you think. It really isn't. And, a lot of our clients are getting, we always shoot for 3 to 5X, which means you put $1,000 in. We want 3 to 5 back, 10 grand in, 30 to 50 back. That's what we shoot for. Many of our clients are getting 10X. So I don't know why you wouldn't. But if you are interested in radio, go to realestateradioexperts.com, fill out the Getting Started sheet, and let's chat. Today's episode, look, I did this recording last year, I think last November, so it's been sitting around for a while. I'm not sure why I haven't released it, but look, here you go. You're going to get it. Here's what we talk about today. It's basically how to close more listings. I know a lot of you guys kind of struggle with that. You do all the hard work, you get to the listing appointment, and then, you don't close it. I think there's some reasons for that. Some of you guys are scared to just ask for the deal and say, look, sign it. But we talk about some specific tactics that today's guest uses to close her clients. We also talk about finding a niche. Now, her niche, she found a niche with builders. She created a move-up plan and rolled it out to some builders. It's been working well for her. We talk about how she uses Pinterest, and again, all the things that she does specifically to help her clients, make the whole process easy for her. Now, before we get there, hashtag for the show is Unpack That Idea. My Twitter handle is Super Agents Live. I'd love to meet you out on Twitter. And one of the things we bring up in this episode is I talk about an app. And I don't know if you guys know this or not. I haven't talked about it, but the show has an app. I think you can go to iTunes. It's free. I think Google Super Agents and our app will come up, and it's basically an easy way to get the episodes. That's it. All right. Hey, let's get to it. One last thing before we get to the content here. Here's what you're not going to want to miss future episodes. So here's what I'd love you to do. Go to the site Super Agents Live. Download, get my free ebook. It's called How to Sell. I wrote it, and you'll get some value out of it. It's free. And also then I at least have your email, and I can let you know when we do, special things. And sometimes we do things that I just tell my list about, and I don't talk about it on the episode. And it's, and sometimes it's a Google Hangout. I think we're going to be I'm thinking about putting together a little event. So I only want to have like my true fans getting that information. Now, and here's that weird thing, man. Super weird. I will get, normally on release day, we'll get 10, 15, 20,000 downloads. Sometimes it will double. Sometimes like, whoa, boom, like we'll get 40, 50,000. And I don't know what happens. Like then the next day, all of a sudden we go back to our 20, 30,000. I don't know if people find this show, they share the show, and then they forget about it, and they move on. So, look, I want to keep you engaged with the content here. All right, go do it, and thanks for listening. I
don't believe you do.
All right. Today on the show, I'm pretty excited to have today's guest. Now, today's guest is in San Antonio. She has a team of 6, and with that team of 6, she did 156 transactions, average sale $250,000, total of $39 million. And she has an expansion, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm thrilled to welcome Misty Wood. Hey, Misty, thanks for taking the time out today.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
So, Misty, I've given the audience just a brief nuts and bolts overview of kind of what you're doing and what you look like. But, take a minute. I know you've been in the market for a long time, but take a minute. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into your business.
Well, I started when I was 4 years old, so I've been in it 43 years.
Okay.
At my mother's suggestion years ago, and I actually got my first license in California, living in Santa Monica, studying under William S. Reed, who at that time wrote the state board exams. After about a year working with William S. Reed and there, I decided that San Antonio and Texas was home, so I moved back to Texas and then got my license here and have been working here for the last 43 years.
Wow. Okay. So I have to imagine that just because you've been at it for so long, you have a giant crazy list. How, if we go back to that 156 transactions, just give us a sense of a couple things. One, the percentage of buyers and sellers, number one, and number two, where that business comes from. I'm trying to get a sense of outreach and marketing, and versus your past clients.
Good. I started off kind of, I guess, swimming behind the boat on everything, just kind of following along with the programs that the normal office presented. And I decided kind of early on that if I was ever going to do my own wave, and I needed to jump the wake and actually create a niche or something that was my own to put myself apart from everyone else. And I did that by creating a move-up program with the builders. And that's been kind of what I've done for the last 20 years. I felt like that the builders had a real need to have eyes and ears of a transaction that might be on the other side of their transaction. In other words, that buyer coming in and wanting to buy a home, that a builder might be very reluctant to take a contingency, not knowing, is that house going to sell? What kind of market is it going to have? Is there a good agent behind it? And so I would go in and say, I will promise you this. I'll promise that the property will be marketed correctly. We'll do a stager. We can do a professional photographer. We'll do everything that it takes to get that property sold, and you will know about every detail and about every second of that sale. And where I've been able to put that in place, I've increased my builder's income by about 10%. And my numbers have, of course, gone through the roof. So as far as ratio, it's about 1-for-1 because for every home that I list and sell, I also have the buyer end of that person going and buying the new home. And I work the entire city because of it. I never know where a builder is going to send me. That's
interesting. So for you, Misty, and you've been doing that for 20 years, I'm sure you have a great name with builders. What is kind of the sweet spot if somebody wants to model you? In terms of looking at a builder, is it somebody who puts up 2 homes a year, 20 homes, 100 homes? What is the size that you found success with in going out and finding those kind of builders?
Well, we find the mom and pop builders aren't really going to give us enough meat and potatoes. This is a volume program. So we need to stay with the mainstream builders and try to stay in the medium price that they're selling in. Right here in San Antonio, the best price for that would be somewhere between $300 and $450. And we know that the move-up person is going to be selling probably a home in the $250s, $275s, which is our average price for San Antonio, and those properties are going to go pretty quickly. And so by working on volume, you need to stay where the volume is. We do also do mom and pop builders, but that's kind of as a courtesy because we've built those relationships and they know what we can do, and they come to us and say, we like with the program that you're working with someone else, and we do that for us. And yes, we do. But our main focus is on the mainstream, the larger builders.
But again, so give me a sense of what kind of a volume you're looking at. I mean, are they 50 homes a year, 100 homes? What is the average? How many units will each of them do?
Our mainstream builders are giving us probably 10 a week to maybe even more.
Now, these are not the publicly traded, Lennar, Centex, KB homes, are they?
Not the KB because they have their own.
Sure.
But yes, I do Perry, I do Sitterly, I do Ryland, David Weekley. Highland is one of my sweet spots. I do a lot of Highland homes. Matter of fact, Highland is sending my business partner and I on a great vacation in April because we've done so many transactions with them. And so, yes, so some of them are mainstream. Some of them are just, San Antonio, like McNair, which is a custom home builder. So yes, some of them are the mainstream.
Okay, that's interesting. So for you, I know today, you have this reputation, and these folks are coming to you, and hey, Misty Wood is the girl who can pull this off. Again, if somebody wants to model you, what are some of the things that you're doing for them? I have to imagine that you're going out and they come to you and say, hey, listen, Misty, we're going to put up 30 units over here, right? 50 units, whatever it is. What kind of marketing do you do to promote their product?
Well, we also, if they want us to, we will do, put their properties in MLS. We'll do open houses for them. We put them on Pinterest. We put them on our websites. On my website, I have a builder's corner. And so the builders can actually go in and see their product advertised in my builder's corner. My main service to them is making sure that home gets sold in a timely fashion so that we can remove the contingency. So I tell them all the extra things that we will do as far as marketing, advertising, and promoting the home that they need their client to sell so that client can continue with that purchase.
And what is some of that stuff that you what help us understand a day in the life of that? I mean, what I know you put it on your builder's corner. I know you put it on Pinterest and all that stuff. But in terms of actually releasing it to the market, what are some of the things that you're doing differently than if it was just a regular old resale?
Well, first of all, we come from the idea, when we kind of follow Dave Ramsey, I'm also a Dave Ramsey ELP, that you need to teach the client what they need to know. That I believe that the days of, wham, bam, you're in and out in 20 minutes on a listing presentation are over, because the market has so much competition. That client needs to know what you know and know what you can do for them. So we make a hard-bound listing presentation book that we bind them here in the office, each one individually and tailored to that client, with all of their marketing information in it and information about their home and a net sheet showing them what they'll be able to arrive from that sale. Then we go out and we spend time with them. We're a full one-stop shop. In addition to their hardbound book, I'm going to give them a vendor book. That vendor book has my decorator, my plumber, my repair person, my interim move person, because I tell the builder I can help them with that interim move. When I can sell the house out from under them and their new house isn't built, they're going to need somewhere to go. So I try to eliminate all the fears. So when I walk out that door after that 1.5 hour presentation, they are totally confident that, one, I can do the job, that I've eliminated all the problems to that they're not going to have to worry about calling a contractor or getting the carpet clean. I have avenues for that. I can put them up with storage. I can arrange their move. Everything is taken care of. They go back to that builder and say, I have no more fears. Let's sign this contract and let's move forward.
Interesting. I think I just was talking with an app developer, and I think somebody like you with all that stuff, having your own app with, hey, listen, here's all our services, storage, moving, handyman, whatever it is. I think that would be phenomenal for you. In that, so the days of the 20-minute in and out are over, and you spend an hour and a half with these people, and you make them extremely comfortable that everything is going to go along without a hitch. I mean, that's a long time, an hour and a half. What are some of the things that maybe unpack that a little bit of how you utilize that time, and maybe even the format,
I can do that. First of all, I established it as a team effort between their family and my team, that I'm not going to do this on my own. I do have my systems in place, but there's certain things that I'm going to expect of them. The next thing I go into would probably be pricing, to prepare for them what I'm going to tell them in the CMA. If I start off with a CMA, I haven't established myself or what I know, or they have no confidence in me to go and tell them their home is $20,000 under what they actually want for it. Yeah. So I teach them how the appraisers work, especially all the changes in the appraisal system. Then I teach them about staging, and staging is just as important as the sales price, and that we must have the home staged because the pictures are the next thing that's so important, and we have to have good staging to have good pictures. So I teach them all that process. I tell them about the stager that's going to come out. Once that's done, I have a contract for them to go through, because our Texas laws are different than other states. I want to make sure they understand what an option program is or option time is on a contract. I want them to understand, how long it's going to take and what they're signing, and I leave that with them for them to review. That way, when I send them the offer, we can talk about the meat and potatoes of the offer, and they would have already reviewed all the fine print. I go into my marketing, what they can expect on my marketing as far as websites, international advertising, military advertising, everything that I do. And once I've gone through that and all the vendor information that they can utilize, I ask if there's any questions at that point. Usually there's not. And then I ask the magic question. So what did you have as a preconceived idea of what your home was worth? And then from there, I go into my CMA. I actually already know that because the first thing that happens is my client services call and takes an information page about their home for me to create that CMA. And she's already asked them that question. What was your preconceived idea of what you thought the property was worth? And then I'd see if they tell me the same thing they told her. And it also gives me a tool when I'm creating that CMA to be able to see how far off they think their house is worth and from what it actually is worth. So after going through the CMA, before that I've walked through their home to make mental note of anything that needs to be done and talk to them about repairs. I don't put one on the market with any kind of carpet issues or repair. I want to make sure that it's perfect when we put it on the market. So we get all those things handled up front. And that just takes time. One, for them to realize what their home really is and how other people are going to look at it, and for them to gain the confidence in me that I know what I'm talking about. So to me, that 1.5 hours I spend there, I have saved myself several hours putting out fires down the line.
That makes a ton of sense, and I think the takeaway that I took from this, Misty, and the takeaway that I'd love for the audience to take away is that you're coming in there really as an advisor, right? You're not a salesman. You're advising them. You're educating them about the process, and you're setting them up. So, it's so funny. I'm taking notes as you're talking, and I wrote down prior. I wanted to know what you did prior. So, prior to you being there, you're one of your who in your office calls them, and is it just one call?
No, I call first and establish the contact, because that builder has usually notified me either by phone call or by email that this client is interested in my move-up program. And so I call the client and greet them, tell them a little bit about my program, about my numbers and what I can do for them. And then I tell them that my client services will be the next call to gather information about their home so that I can create a really solid, strong market analysis for them. And at that time, she will view my calendar and give them the first available appointment that meets their needs. And so then I turn the call over to either Megan or April. She calls with an information sheet in front of them, asks them about their covered patio, 1-story, 2-story, water softener, sprinkler system, all the things that might be important to an appraiser and to my buyer. And then things like, do you back up to power lines? Do you back up to busy street? So that I know ahead of time that I might need to adjust my CMA for those items. And then she turns that over to me and tells me when the appointment is. When I show up, I create the CMA. I turn it back to her, and she creates the book and the vendor books. She puts it in my bag, and I'm off. Okay.
Now, what you said earlier was you said that staging is just as important as pricing. How do you? I have to admit, I mean, there's a lot of scenarios here where they're $20,000, 10%, whatever it is. You know that they're wishful thinking. Number one. Number two, they might have there might be 10% over what it's worth. Number two, maybe it does need new carpet. Maybe the how do you readjust people and in what because you walk through again, like maybe just the carpet's beat and they want too much money. In what way do you walk them through and sort of readjust them? And or walk away, and say, hey, look, it's not going to work. This is not the kind of property that I feel comfortable bringing to the market.
Which I have done before. But on the initial walkthrough, of course, I make note of what I think needs to be done. I'm usually making pretty positive comments at that point, but making those middle notes. And then when I get to that point and start going into staging, I simply tell them that how we live in a home and how we put one on the market are two different things. That if they want to be in competition in today's market, the best thing I can have them do is go look at the model home. Walk through those model homes. Those model homes, those builders are genius at what they do. They know that people don't buy houses, they buy lifestyles. So what that builder has done is create a lifestyle for that buyer to go in and go, wow, I see myself living here. They're not looking for something to redo. They're not looking for something to paint. They're looking for some place to live, move in and live, because we're all busy today. We're not looking for fixer-uppers unless you're an investor. And if that's the investor's going to buy your home, you're going to lose a lot of money because I'm going to sell it to the homeowner who wants to move in and live in it. So I really tell them that I have avenues to take the worry out of changing that carpet. If I put a carpet allowance, what's that tell my buyer? It's got yucky carpet. And so they're going to come out already with a negative, and they're going to see, yeah, it does have yucky carpet. They're going to take your price and your allowance, and then they're going to reduce you even more. Right. So and then the appraiser may even hit you. So you have lost a lot of money over something that I happen to have the wholesaler. They can give you a wholesale price, come in and take care of that flooring for half of what you could buy it at Lowe's and knock it out in a couple of days, and then you're on the market at the highest price that the market will bring.
And I think you touched on something really, really interesting there, Misty, is do you replace or give an allowance? And I've asked about that particular thing many times on the show, and it's always replace it, right? And I think for me, and again, because I'm just that kind of a guy, I think I would rather see an allowance. But again, I think when it comes to negotiation, I am going to take that allowance, and I'm not going to take that into consideration. I'm going to start at that bottom number and I'm going to start working down from there. But okay, so you're going to explain to them, take the worry, hey, listen, we can get it half price for you. It's not going to upset your lifestyle. We can knock it out in 2 days. But again, they're still $10,000 over. How do you readjust that person? How do you say, okay, listen, guys, we have to put new carpet in because you are in competition with everybody else, and the way we live in it is different than the way that you sell it. And maybe you don't want to address this, but this gets into negotiation. How do you readjust that person? Say, look, you got to put new carpet in, and yeah, it's $5,000, and you got to come down $10,000 off the top line.
Well, if you go in with a really strong market analysis and show them what has gone on in that particular neighborhood in the last 6 months and what they're going for price per square foot, there's not much argument. The one thing I do tell them is, Mr. Buyer or Mr. Seller, your home is worth exactly what you want it for it. The fact that you want the $20,000 over what the market's bringing, you're very correct. That's true. I just can't bring it here. If I could pick this house up and move it to another neighborhood, I would have no problem getting your price. And I'm sure you're out looking at some of those other properties and thinking, mine looks just as good as this. But I've got to go by what the appraiser is going to look at, and that's your pocket, your neighborhood. And this is what your pocket and neighborhood is bringing. Especially with all the changes in Texas appraisal system lately, they're being very close to the best on staying with homes within a certain range, as close to that particular home as they can, and then making the adjustments. But there's a glass ceiling there. Unless you've got that third-car garage or that swimming pool, I'm not going to be able to push through that glass ceiling and get this price for you. I'm sure that there's a buyer that would see the value. I can see the value. But who I'm up against is the appraiser. And my buyers are not going to pay more than what I can get a home appraised for.
Right. And again, Misty, you've been at this a long time, right? I mean, we're on video right now, and I normally don't do this, but I'm looking at you. You're super confident, and if you're sitting across the dining room table or the living room, I'm gonna feel and I'm gonna believe you. I think there's a lot of people out there that maybe have been in the business for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. They're not doing the kind of volume that you are. They desperately want that deal. They don't have the confidence that you have. They're not gonna be able to do that. They're going to struggle with that. And they're going to say, look, I'll just let me list it for what you want, and let's just hope for the best. And then, what would you say to that person? And number one, have you ever been there? And what would you say to that person?
I come across that all the time. And that's kind of what my competition is doing. They're trying to like win the bid. And so educating the client is, yes, someone may can come in here and tell you your home is worth $60,000, $70,000 more than it's worth. But what they're trying to do is put a sign in the ground so that they have somebody calling them or have advertising. They're basically using your listing to generate business. The thing that you've got to worry about as a seller is days on market. And if you're not priced right, because every one of my CMA figures will show how long it took to sell that home. And I can show them where the homes that were on the market for 190 days did not bring anywhere close to what they were asking for or what they went on the market for. And I said, do you want to be that? Or do you want to be this? Do you want to sell it, put it on the market at a correct price that will bring you close to full price? Or do you want to just throw some bait in a pond with a high number and hope some fish comes along and nibbles on it? Because it's still got to go through the appraiser. I said, so you're wasting time.
And you know what? And lose sleep for that 190 days, right? And have your life disrupted. As you know, is somebody going to walk through here today or tomorrow? Do I have to clean up the kitchen again? So I get it. Okay, I love that. But again, what would you say to that? How would you coach someone who just they know they shouldn't be doing it, but they keep doing it? Well, is there something you could again say to an agent, a newer agent, that you can readjust them to get more in line with how you do things, Misty?
Well, one thing is this is not a one-time shot business. I mean, this is a business where you're creating relationships and you're creating repeat business. And if you're going in and having unhappy clients on the other end because you priced it too high, you overpromised and under-delivered, how many referrals are they going to give you? How much repeat business are they going to give you? Yeah. None. Yeah. None. You've got to cultivate the friendship and the trust, and by being honest with them up front is how this trust is established.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. Now, this is just a wild question, and I know you work with these builders, but do you have for that nervous client, right? You've readjusted them. They go, hey, Missy, yeah, we're going to put new carpet in. Yes, I'm going to get in line with and lower my price, my expectations by $10,000. You've done all that, but they're still a little bit nervous about moving up, right? I'm paying my mortgage for $250. I'm going to move up into this brand new house for $450. Maybe I won't like the schools, right? Or maybe I won't like my neighbors. I know that some people out there have like a love it or leave it program. Do you have any sort of, and maybe those are gimmicks to you, but do you offer anything like that?
Well, I do have a cancellation fee on every one of my transactions, and I tell them that if you're unhappy with me or my services, or you change your mind or you get cold feet, first come to me and let's talk about it. Usually it's a lack of communication or something has come up to make you fear-based, and I can eliminate that fear. At the end of that, if you're unhappy with me, we'll walk away friends, and I hope that you'll refer me 100 times, and that's it. So I don't hold an unhappy client or an unsure client because, again, it's all about building those relationships and someone trusting you, and that will recommend you again and again and again.
So in terms of building relationships, and you said, you know, if you come into a situation like that, it's a lack of communication. What is there a rule of thumb? What does your communication look like in terms of frequency and the things that you communicate about to your clients?
Well, of course, we call them every time there's going to be a showing. We have centralized showing. We usually follow up with them, but we call them every time that something needs to happen as far as the sale. But we have what we call in my office Friday calls, and every Friday. My team will call the buyers, the sellers, the sales counselors from the builder, everyone involved in the transaction to touch base, to tell them what our advertising is doing and how things are going and how we're proceeding, or maybe to let the site salesperson know, wow, we got a contract on this offer, you're on the downhill side, the appraisal's been done. We do it both by email, but we like to do that personal touch and pick up the phone on Fridays and just give everyone a call before we end the week.
That's great. That is, yeah. I need to be better at that with my clients. You know, just checking in, saying, "Hey, what's up?" You know, and you know, give me an update. Now, in this process, I mean, you're in the middle because you have the buyer, the person, the consumer that you need to keep happy. You need to keep your builder happy. And at what point on the consumer side of it, you're communicating with them? Is there a point in the process that you ask for something? Here's one of two things, right? Is there a point in the process that you ask for a referral, number one, or two? Is there a point in the process that you ask for a testimonial? Say, hey, Misty did a great job.
Well, I'm always asking for referrals
Okay.
from day one. Day one, you start with that. When I end my listing presentation, I say, I'm excited about getting to know you. I'm excited about doing business with you. And by the way, when you go to work tomorrow, you can tell everybody that you have this great real estate agent. And if anyone says they're interested, please refer me. I start with asking referrals from the moment we meet and have a small conversation. And then I constantly ask for referrals. And my team asks for referrals when they make those Friday calls. Do you know anybody that's interested in selling real estate or buying real estate? And then, of course, at the closing, and then my client services follows up with a questionnaire and asks them, how did they like their process with us? And so, yes, we do that.
Okay. So you're constantly sort of doing that. Now, look, you've been at this for 43 years, Misty. You're good at what you do. Well, I have to ask. A person like you don't have to work anymore. What is it about, and this comes back to competitors. I mean, you have to be a competitor. I'm sure you love what you do, but why is it that somebody like you just keeps on pushing?
Because it's a passion. It's a passion. I am so proud that last Friday I won the Academy Award of Real Estate. I won the Eagle Award here in San Antonio for real estate, and it's the highest award that Keller Williams gives. And I feel like it's an Academy Award. And it came from my peers of 650 who believe in me and have confidence in me. And I just couldn't imagine not coming in and making another family happy with being able to sell their home and place them in another. And it's challenging. It still grows and evolves. I was lying awake last night and ideas started popping in my head. I said, I think I've discovered a whole new niche and I'm going to hire someone to do it. I said, you know what? We need to have someone who concentrates just on attorneys, calling just attorneys to find out, are you handling a divorce? Are you in an estate? And work that attorney market, join their clubs, join all their events, and immerse yourself into that category and come out with all of the referrals that will pertain to those. And so that's my next little avenue, and that came last night. So I'm constantly dreaming and scheming and thinking and growing and seeing how I can do something better. And it's so challenging. It keeps me young and it keeps me alive. Every year for the past 20 years, I have done better each and every year. I do more and more transactions. There has not been one year where I've gone backwards. And I don't plan on going backwards for a long, long time.
I love it. And by the way, if you had been listening to my show, you would have recognized that niche a long time ago. We've had many people on the show who focus on probate attorneys, and I can give you some, and really we talk about the process of how they went and found them and what they do, and it's amazing. And I'll just give you a tip. Many of these probate attorneys don't work with a real estate agent, which is amazing. Number one. Number two. When you find one, like literally, people have explained to me. They call in and say, "Listen, I'm really, you're a probate attorney. I'd love to help." And if they don't give you a deal, like in a week or two, done. That's it. Don't ever call them again. And one guy came on the show, and I think he shared with us that from one relationship, he got like 40 deals last year. So that's a great niche. So look, what is next for you? You've never had a year that you've gone backwards. In 43 years, which is amazing. You won this Eagle Award. You're at the pinnacle. What is next for Misty Wood?
Austin, Texas.
Austin.
And then Houston.
You did do and you do have an expansion team. Where's that expansion team?
Starting in Austin.
Okay.
I've got one agent there now in Austin.
Okay.
And she's going to be doing the move-up program, starting with the same builders that I'm working with here, especially the ones that are home-based here that I have the connections to give her there. And so she's already started calling on the builders and building those relationships. And she's. I was up there. I was with her last week. I'm going up this Wednesday. More training, helping her make those connections, crossover, doing breakfast for the builders at their sales team meetings, and introducing our program.
That seems like a no-brainer for you. I mean, if you have these builders and they're in a Houston, a Dallas, wherever it seems like a no-brainer. It just follows people around.
Exactly.
Why did it take you 43 years?
Well, I don't know. I guess I just baby stepped it, and now I'm running. But what's nice about my program now is that someone moving from San Antonio to Austin can work the program, and or someone from Austin moving here, I can list their home there and do the program here. And then eventually we plan to go into the Houston area.
Okay. And we're going to start wrapping up. And we'll tell everybody where they can find you. If somebody's in Austin or Houston or wherever and they want to join your team, we'll set that all up for you. But so here's the same three questions I ask everybody. So here's the first one, and it's for you, Misty. Who has been a mentor to you as both as you've grown personally and professionally?
Dave Ramsey.
Really?
Dave Ramsey, yes. And also John Maxwell.
Now, do you know Dave or John? Like I'm saying Dave, like I know them, but do you know Dave Ramsey or John Maxwell? Do you know them personally? Have you spent time with them one-on-one?
I have, not as much as I would like, just a couple of times. John Maxwell's come to our family reunions before, and we've had, it wasn't on a one-on-one, but it was a small group that we could go and have lunch or dinner with them, and the same with Dave.
Got it. That's awesome. And by the way, I'm going to show you this piece of paper. It's been sitting on my desk for a while, and I'm not sure why, but I don't know if you can read that. See that? Misty Wood. Your name has been on my desk this has been on my desk. I should throw this away. But it's been sitting there for like 2 months, and I'm not sure why. But did you read that? That's your name, Misty Wood. So I don't know why you're there, but that's awesome. You're on the show. Okay. So here's the next question. I don't know if you read, but I'm asked for a book recommendation. Now, I got to tell you, because you're a KW person, none of Gary's books. They come up way too often. Okay. So here's the setup. I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy today?
I would probably say anything to do with positive thinking. What is it? Grow Rich and Think Positive. I forget.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's a fantastic book.
Yes. I'm huge about positive thinking, and I nothing starts without a thought, and if you don't think positive, the actions won't follow. And I'm huge. And then don't move my cheese. People have to change. People have to evolve. People have to grow. And if you're always hanging on to all the bad habits, and then you're not going to ever get out of the rut and grow. I
agree. And by the way, both those books, and for everybody in the audience, as you know, you can get a copy of any of these books on us. Just use our link, audibletrial.com/superagentslive. But for you out there in the audience, if you haven't read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, life-changing book, you should have that. Number two, Who Moved My Cheese? I forget who wrote it, but both of those are so old that you can get a free PDFs online everywhere. So everybody go and read for sure Napoleon Hill's book. And my last question for you, Misty, and I kind of hold on, let me pursue the positive, the mindset piece with you for a second. What, during the last 4 decades, I'm sure you've had a day, a week, a month, even though you have passion for this, that you're just like, oh, I'm done. I quit. I can't do this anymore. How did you, number one, have you had a day like that? Yes. Just, you had?
I have, but okay. It's usually because I had a client like that.
Yeah. Okay. But my question is for those people out there who their business is not where they want it to be, their personal life is not where they want it to be, whatever it is, what would you say to them to motivate them to get up, get back on the horse, and go knock on some doors, pick up the phone, meet people and try to better themselves and better their businesses?
Well, life is never straightforward and even. There's ups and downs, and if you're at a down, there's got to be an up. And when I guess I believe when God closes one door, He's going to be opening another one. And I look back now, being my age and this experience, I look back and look at those valleys, and I can see, wow, how that valley actually made me better at what I do now at the top. And so take advantage of those lows to regroup and see what you were doing wrong or how you can do it better and how you can grow from that. Because that's the time that you can concentrate on your growth and doing something different to bring you up. It's not going to stay the same. It's not going to stay down there. You just need to find someone to mimic, find someone who's successful. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Go find someone that you can follow and see how their success is, and then grow your own success from that.
I love it, and I couldn't agree more on the notion of finding someone to model, and I think for everybody out in the audience, it doesn't have to be somebody in your office. It doesn't have to even be somebody in your city. I mean, you can find Misty and model her, and and there's so many people like you, Misty, that are willing to share, are willing to help. So I agree with you on that. My last question to you is this, Misty, is we talked about mindset, but do you have a personal habit that you feel has contributed to your success?
Prayer.
Faith.
For me. That's for me. And personal habit is, I guess I'm up early, and I go. I make hay while the sun shines. I take advantage of opportunities. I make it a point every day to be in front of somebody who can use my services. If I'm not working in my business, I'm working on my business. And that's just, I guess, a habit that I've formed with, I'm always marketing. I'm always talking real estate. It's in my blood. And so, if I'm not showing a house, I'm figuring out how I can show a house.
I love it.
If I'm not listing one, I'm figuring out how I can list one.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's funny. So I rarely do this stuff on video, and I think I'm going to start doing it more. I mean, I've done 200 or so interviews, and I've done like 3 on, but I think being able to look at you and sort of watch you, I think is helps me as an interviewer. So you taught me something today, Misty. So listen, for somebody who is out there, here's the deal. I always encourage my audience, if they've gotten anything out of this episode, to reach out and to say thank you to you personally. So number one, I'll start off that thank you train right now and say, Misty, thanks for taking the time out of your busy day and coming on the show. And number two, for that person who wants to join your team in San Antonio or Austin or Houston or whatever, where can people find you?
Misty at themistywoodteam.com.
Awesome. And for everybody, if you're out there, you're riding your bike, walking your dog, driving, all the stuff will be on the show notes. Just go to superagentslive.com and it'll be there under Misty Wood. Hey, Misty, thanks so much. Let's keep in touch.
Yes, please. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
All right. See you, Misty.
Bye-bye.
Let's go.